Hello and welcome to hobby vlog number 173. My mum's still here, so I'm still doing a little bit less hobbying this week. I've been less exhausted, which is good, but yeah, just busier doing other things. I've actually managed to get a game in, a Middle-earth SBG. We've not finished it with Angela, which was a lot of fun. Starting to test out the one of the armies I might take to ArdaCon this year, 21 Warbats, which is pretty cool. And I've been painting on and off through the week, getting cracking on with the with trying to get through my backlog, my mountain of opportunity, and that's also going pretty well. So I hope you enjoy the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I do reply to every single one of them, as I always say, so don't be shy. It'd be awesome to hear from you, and thank you very much for watching. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to use some of these offcuts of plywood that I've got to make some bases for the trees. So I think I'm going to do 3 trees, or three separate standing trees at least, certainly this stage. And I might actually just trim the corners off this one. And have a tree and some rocks and what have you, to make that into a little bit more of a scenic what's it. But for this one, I'm going to take the jigsaw, which I'll go and do now, and I will cut these shapes out, and then I will get I'll get my rotary tool, and I've got a Dremel, and I will sand the edges down so that they have a little bit of a gradient, so they make them a little bit less sudden. That's quite a sudden edge, isn't it? So yeah, so I'm going to go down now, get the old jigsaw out, cut these shapes out, and then sand the edges, and then I'll bring you back for the next step, which will be building the shape of the trees. I've got some ideas. I don't want to use loads and loads of normal wire, because these want to be quite big, heavy trees. So I'm kind of not sure how I'm going to do it, which is why we'll put this off a bit, but I need to get started. So I'll see whether some of my ideas might work. I've got some creative ideas for making these trees, so let's see how well that turns out. My idea for making trees. I'm going to explain to you what my thoughts of it are, and then I'm going to give it a go, not on camera. I have no idea if it's going to work, and if it does work, I will show you, and if it doesn't work, then I'll tell you. So the way that I normally make trees is twisted wire, and the amount of trees and the size of the trees I want to make for this just makes that quite expensive, and yeah, I just don't want to spend all that much money on it. So what I've thought to do is make use of offcuts, and this is obviously an offcut. It would just be thrown away normally, but I save things because this is what I'm like. I'm glad I saved it, because what I'm going to do, I'm going to make use of these offcuts to build up the inside of the tree, and then I'll use air dry clay to do the bark texture. I may end up using some wire to do some of the branches and what have you, but I think that should work quite nicely for me to make a tree. And the first tree I'm going to do, the other bases are downstairs. I've got black fingers because I've just been spraying them. I've finished cutting them and sanding them, and now I'm just doing a black spray base coat underneath just to cover up the wood. So yeah, I'll bring you along if this works, because I'll use that technique. But what I'm going to do basically is cut out a shape which will be the main trunk, and then I can build up around it, maybe with some more XPS, or maybe just not on this one. And for this one, I want to have a tree that's coming up, and I'm undecided whether I want to have it so that it's actually kind of like fallen a bit maybe, so we can potentially have an access point coming through here, but yeah, there's going to be a tree coming up and over onto the top of the ruins. The other thing is that I've been staring at this for a long time, because I was initially thinking about doing this as a desert, and obviously my subconscious was telling me that was a silly idea, and it is a silly idea. So I'm going to be making this as more of a jungly type build, so there'll be greenery coming down and vines and what have you to make it a little bit more interesting. So yes, that's the other thing to say. So anyway, so I'm going to have a bit of a play around with this technique. Hopefully it's going to work. We'll find out, and if it works, I'll show you what it looks like done, and then I'll show you how I went about doing it. So yeah, let's see what happens. So I've gone back onto working on this, which is the OV-10, I think. But anyway, I finished the cockpit and primed it all, so that will now be drying, and I'll get the cockpit painted. and then I'll probably start to record a little bit more on this project because I'm really enjoying it. It's a very nicely put together kit. Having said that, I think I've made a mistake on the cockpit there, which I may find, but it's a very nicely put together kit, and it's worth. I think it's going to be worth sharing how it goes together because I've been very impressed with it actually. ICM seems to make some nice kits. So yeah, this is as far as I can go before I need to paint because I'm going to start to enclose it in the body of in the fuselage of the plane. So I'll let that dry and then get that painted tomorrow and over the next couple of days. And yeah, I will bring you along for more for this journey, which I did start in the hotel when I was in Belgium. Well, LimboDivision209. I've just started up a Discord and I've joined it, and that's inspired me to finally put out one of these and start to maybe put together these models, which I bought but never looked at really. So I've just put one at complete random. They're pretty cool models, and they come with a instruction sheet, which is very simple, as you can see. I believe they're 3D printed. I didn't know that, but I believe they are 3D printed. And they are superb quality models. I do know that. So we have a base. And let me just empty those out into the tray. You can see we have some kind of a weapon. And you can see just how nicely that fits together. I'll have to look at it a bit closer. Standing here trying to do this, but there we are. How nicely that fits together. That took me a second, but not very long, and that is a beautiful fit, absolutely beautiful fit. Games Workshop could learn a lot from these. And then we have the main body with a leg to fit, and then her head goes on top. So it's not going to be very hard to assemble. As you can see, there's no cleanup at all required, as you can see. So I'm going to get that glued together and then prime and paint, and I'm not sure what it looks like. So I might film some of the painting, I'm not sure. I'm not a very good painter, so that makes me feel a bit odd, but I might do. But anyway, this is going to be part of my hobbying. Whether it makes much onto the channel or not, I don't know, but I'm going to start making these, and I've got maybe 6 or 7 more, so I'm going to try and get them all made. So anyway, I don't actually know what this one's called. This is Taurus Warhammer, and it's number 180 of 250. So yeah, they're all like limited edition, whatever. So that's pretty cool. Right, let's get this done. So we're about to do our second coat finally. So we're just going to go orange all over the back. And you've been looking forward to this, haven't you, Roo?
Yes.
So there's your paint. You don't need water just yet. Just go for paint. Get water if you need it. And we will be painting over the whole of the back and the sides in a second coat. So let's get that done.
A clam is not off.
No, it's fine. I'll just turn it off in a minute.
We're turning it off in a minute.
Yeah.
I need some.
You do. You do very well.
I need some water.
Right, little dip. That's enough. And out to the butt paint. That's it. Good girl.
I'm thirsty.
You're thirsty. Do you want to go and get a drink?
Yes. No.
Are you sure?
No.
Are you sure? A little bit of water. Not much. That's enough. Are you sure you don't want me to go and get you a drink?
No.
Let me start over here. Let me go here. No, I'm not in your way. Then I'm not in your way.
This is dark.
Yeah, it's going to get better. Let's put lots of paint on. Let me go along the top. I'll do the top. That's it. Right, you can do below that now. Right, you don't need much paint and water, remember. That's it. Good girl.
Let me go here.
You're doing very well with this, love.
Let me go on the bottom.
Right, push it like this, hold it like this, not sideways. Foot towards it like this. That's it, good go.
Turn the camera off.
Turn the camera off, why?
Because it's the same.
Yeah, no, but it's still interesting. Right, that's done. So let's turn it around. Stop painting, stop painting, it's done.
Now we need that.
Right, wait a second, I need to move a few things. Right, can you step back a sec? Can you hop off your step? Just for a second. I'll put things in the way. Right. Oops.
I got some paint from there.
Right, there we are. Right, let's get going. Right, I'm going to paint around the windows, okay? So you don't go near the windows because I don't want to get paint on the windows. You paint everywhere else. What? It's dry now. That. Okay, pull. There we are. Right, don't use that anymore. Use the pot now.
Oh, this is soft.
Yep. Right, you need to paint it like this, pointing towards, not sideways, towards, okay? See how much easier that is? Yeah?
Okay. Not sideways, remember?
Not sideways, right, so stop, turn it around again, stop. Oop, up, oop, up. Right, I'll go around the windows, I'll go around the windows. You do this bit here.
I want you to get some juice.
Right, we're nearly done now, so you stand up on your step so you can see a bit better. Oh, I know, it's okay, don't worry.
This is dry.
Don't worry about it, we'll take it off. Don't worry, love, we'll wash our hands. Oops. Don't worry, we'll wash our hands, love. Right, Rosie, pay attention to what you're doing. Stand up on your step, please, actually. Can you get off your step for a second, because it's a little bit far across. Wow, stand up, there we are.
Can I do here?
Yeah.
I can do here.
Yep. Oh, steady on the windows. Steady near the windows. Right, I'm going to come around here and do them by these windows. You do that bit there. Very good. That's it. A little bit more. And we're done. Done. Well done. Woohoo! Right, pop that lid on. Do you want to give the camera a big thumbs up? Big thumbs up. Good girl. So I've finished up painting my Elrond for to mount. So what I'm now going to do is make use of the Geek Gaming base ready Mediterranean Mediterranean soft, I think it is, soil even. And yeah, as I've shown a number of times, the way I do this is I have myself a cocktail stick, put some of the fast drying basing glue on the bottom, like so, and then push it around with the toothpick. That's what I've found to be the best way to get a good covering across the whole model. So let's get that done. And then it's as simple as dunking it in. And there we are, that's one done. So I'll do the foot model, and then that's another 2 models completed for the year. I've just spent a fun 10 minutes or so with the knife, scraping off the old paint off the top of my cutting mat. It was getting really bad. Some of the stuff from the last hobbying with Rosie, a lot of it had dropped down and put big clumps and bumps onto the surface. Don't really care about what it looks like, but I do want it to be relatively flat. Now I'm not really cutting anything majorly important on this, but having big lumps like 2 or 3 millimeters high was just getting annoying. So yeah, just come along with the knife and scrape like this. As you can see, it comes off nice and easy, and then dustpan and brush to sweep up what you've managed to shift. And there's still a lot to go, but that is what I've got off so far. So there we are. This is the side of hobbying you don't think about, tidying up after yourself. I was sat here thinking, I wonder if other hobbyists go through this, particularly. Oh, his name's just gone from me. I had it in my mind a minute ago. But his worktop is so clean. It's inspirational. Mine is obviously an absolute mess. Luke Towan, that's it. I wonder if Luke ever has to clean his work surface, or whether he is so tidy all the time that he never makes a mess. I don't know. But yeah, his work surface is an inspiration. Maybe he's just got like a whole stack of these and he puts a new one down every time. Don't know. But anyway, there we are. A little bit of an insight into some of the non-creative stuff that goes into this hobby. And it's always nice to keep things a little bit tidy. Not too tidy, because that means you're not doing anything. But yeah, that's a lot better. There's still some lumps which I'm going to have to take off, but that's good enough now. So as you can see, we've taken the masking off and the window's looking great. The orange is looking great. So we're on to the final few pieces. Not quite the final bit. There's one more to do after this. But Rosie found these and was insistent that they should go on top of the roof, weren't you, love? So what we're going to do is we're going to make use of my glue. And you can help me with this. So we want to run the glue bead. Do you want to help me?
Yes.
We're going to run the glue bead around the inside like this, so that it doesn't show up. Just around the outside of that shape, like that, or you couldn't really see that, but like that. Put a little bit more there. And then we'll press this down up on here, so you can press it down. There we are, right, that's it, and leave it there, and that'll dry on. So we'll do the same thing for this. We'll make it a little bit more in shot. There we are. So we need to go around the edge of this. Oops, I need to hold it so it doesn't move. So just go all the way around the edge in a bead. Go to the top again. And back round. There we are. And then we'll stick this.
I can press it in.
Yeah, you need to probably give me a little bit more to make sure it's straight, but I'm sure that's fine. So we'll let that set. And then what we're going to try and do, we're going to put a little sign or something up, I think. So that's the final thing to do. And then you can use it. You excited? Don't touch it. It's not dry yet. You excited to get your car in it? Yeah? Right, wave goodbye to the camera. Bye-bye.
It's on the same scene. I like it like a road.
Okay, good. Right, so I had a delivery. A couple of things. First thing that arrived, which is a bit of a disappointment. One of them's okay, but one of them had opened in the pack. So this one is, as you can see, half full. A bit stinky, but I bought myself some extra Tamaya from an eBay seller. So I've contacted them, just saying, look, this is what happened. What can you do? Hopefully they'll send me a new one, but we shall see. The other thing that arrived is my most recent Geek Gaming order, which is really good because I need that to finish off my cave drake. So if I can now base up my cave drake, which is pretty cool. So what I've ordered is some weird crystals, small green, and some base ready Mars Earth, and some base ready volcanic island. And the rest of this is their new way of shipping out, which I've never seen. I've always had the plastic bags before. Their modelling compound. So yeah, in cardboard boxes, which actually makes it a little bit easier to handle. So that's good. So this rest of these will just go up. Will just go up in the roof to be piled up with all the rest of my modelling compound, which is for the model railway. I've got about 20 kilograms of it up there now. But yeah, pretty pleased that arrived very quickly. Bit disappointed about the Tamara extra thin, but that's life, I suppose, isn't it? I'm trying to finish off a load of miniatures this year, painting them all up. I'm actually up to 95 for the year. There's a little bit of a stat. And one of them was this model, which I think I actually bought from an Etsy seller. Creepy Prints, I'm pretty sure. And it's been sat on my shelf for literally 2 years. And yeah, so I finished it off, and what I'm now going to do is work on basing it. It's only got one contact point on its hoof, which is going to make it a bit interesting to stick. But I'm going to give it a go now. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use super glue, and I'll probably just stick this on now, and then sit and hold it for a bit while I watch some YouTube videos to make sure that it doesn't, that it actually stays. And then hopefully that will be secure enough, because super glue does normally stick quite well to wood. But if not, then I'll have to pin it, and I'll show you how I do that. But I'm not a big fan of pinning. But if I need to, then I will. So yeah, I'm just going to glue that in place, and then I will do some basing on this, and then that'll be another miniature, maybe number 96, but who knows. Oh, this went together really well. I had a little bit of fun getting the arms on. There was actually this not quite lining up, but I glued on this side first, wait for that to get completely solid, and then I was able to very carefully glue on the other end. Unfortunately, super glue grabs very well. But what I'm now doing is, if we have a look, you've got this little kind of like tab on the bottom of her foot, and if hopefully that's going to show up well enough, you can see that it's actually too deep for the base. So if I were to drill a hole in the base, it would basically go all the way through. So I'm umming and ahhing about whether I just trim it down a little bit and still drill a hole in the base to glue her in, or whether I just cut it all off and glue her on without. So that's where I'm at the moment. But I just wanted to say it's just gone together really, really well. And I think that I'm probably going to try and get a couple more of these on my bench and get them assembled, and then I'll paint them all together as a little batch. So I'm going to decide about that, and I'll let you know what a decision I come to on that. And I'm going to start another couple, which I'll show you now. So here we are. Here's the next one I'm going to do. There's a lot more parts on this one, but it's this particular Coke serving bunny girl. So I'll get that assembled and I'll let you know how that goes. Drill a 22mm hole in the base, it says. I think this might be the same sort of decision, so I might actually leave that decision until I've got this together and have a look-see. But I'll get that glued together. If it's anything like the first one, it will go together like a dream, and then yeah, we can start to paint them. And I might do 3. I'm not sure if I'll do 2 or 3. But there we are. There are the parts. So you've got one leg. You've got an arm carrying a gun. You've got the other leg, and just to show you just how nicely this goes together. There we are, like a glove, no problem at all. So yeah, so I'll get that assembled, and we'll just make my decision on the bases. I'll let you know about that. And I say I might do a third one, but if I do, I will show you. Well, the good news is that stuck well, even with only 1 foot. So what I'm going to do is I've just been digging in my goodies, and I've got a couple of pretty normal looking rocks, which I'm going to glue onto the base, so this guy's riding through them. And then I'm not going to film it, so I film it all the time, but I'm going to make use of the Mediterranean mix for that base ready to do the rest of the base. So I'm just going to use super glue on these, and then when that's dried and doesn't fall off, then I'll do the other basing, and then that's another model done, which is pretty awesome. So yeah, I'll let this all set. I'm going to need to wedge that up actually, I think, because it's going to fall over until it's dry. There we are. Yeah, so I'll let that set and then finish off with the Mediterranean mix and show you what it looks like when it's done. Alright, so I'm going to have a little look at finishing off the basing for my Cave Drake and the little Bobbit baby Cave Drake. So I received my gaming sceneries, Geek Gaming, weird crystals, small green, and I'm going to transfer them. Hopefully they're all going to fit into this pot, so we'll find out. Yeah, perfect, good. So that's fine, and what I will do is I will cut that out and stick it on the side, because then I can remember what it is. And I also found another little pot, and I'm going to put my Mars Earth in, because these are the two colours, the two basic materials that I'm going to use for this base on this Cave Drake. But it's always a nice idea to have them in pots where you can more easily pick them up, scatter them out, what have you, than trying to keep them in these bags, which will eventually fall over. Now I've also got the volcanic island, which I don't want to use for this one. I just bought that one to look at it more than anything. I'll transfer that into another pot as well at some point. But my plan is basically to scatter these green crystals over the base and then put the Mars Earth in the gaps in between. So I'm going to make use of the fast drying basing glue, which is what's designed to be used with this basing material, and I'm also going to get some old tweezers I've got. These are very, very knackered now, but they will allow me to pick up a single stone and drop it in place, which is what I want to do. So I'm going to work a little bit in a little bit more of an ordered fashion than I normally do when I'm basing. So I'll get myself a tray. These really are very dirty now. That's been used for terrain so much that it's more old terrain than metal. But that will mean that I can put some paper underneath, and then I'm going to be able to scatter straight onto that, and then I'll be able to tip the scenic material back into the pot. Whereas normally, as you know, I would be just sticking all the glue on and then just scattering my terrain and my scenic material over the top and putting it straight back into the box. So I do think I've got some paper somewhere near me, so I'm going to grab that, put the paper underneath it, and then we're going to get stuck into actually doing this base. Alright, there we are. So we have some paper, so if any of my scenic stuff falls, I'm not going to lose it all over the place. I don't like waste. I'm not going to do all of this on camera because it's going to be quite a slow process and quite samey. But what I am going to do is, first of all, I need to open the bottle. That would help, wouldn't it? I'm going to start in this little area here. So I'm going to put a lump of the scenic glue in, put too much in. I knew I'd do that. That was silly. And then use a toothpick to spread it around and in. And I'm going to need to clean that edge as well. Get a little bit of paper. This glue is latex based and so is very sticky. So let me just get a little bit of kitchen roll, and I will tidy that up. And I'm going to need to move it so that my scenic material, if it falls off, doesn't fall in the glue. So let me adjust the camera. Highly professional setup, as you can tell. Right, so we've got our crystals. So I'm just going to pick them at random, drop them in like this. There we are, that'll do. And then I'm actually going to get a little plastic spoon for the Mars material, just to make it a little bit easier to scatter, particularly because now my fingers have glue on them from that spillage, and so it will stick to my fingers. So we'll get a little spoonful of the Mars mix, and then like you're frosting a cake, scatter it over the top. Like that. There we are. And that's it. And now let's see if the green stones will stick. They will. So I can then just quickly shake that off back into the pot. And then there we are, that's the idea. So I'm going to do that for the whole of the base, and then I'll clean the rim, and then we'll be done. And I'll do basically the same technique for the mini one. I'll probably only put 1 or 2 crystals on it. But yeah, nearly finished, very pleased. And there we are. So I'm going to let that dry. But I really like that effect, the red dirt and the green crystals. Quite pleased to pick those up, just a pack. Won't be used very often, obviously, but now I've got them, so I can throw them onto any bases where they suit. But yeah, pretty happy. So that's another model finished for the year. Really enjoying this personal challenge I've set myself to actually finish some stuff. It's going to really get my mountain of opportunity limited. Hopefully, that's the idea anyway. But yeah, I'll get that finished. Seal it over with some more PVA just to make sure they don't fall off, but that's pretty much done. I do need to paint the rim actually on that one. I'm probably going to paint that dark red, so maybe I'll wait off and saying it's finished until I've painted the rim, and I'll show you what it looks like when that's done. Well, this tree idea worked kind of. I've got another couple of ideas I want to do, so what I think I'm going to do, I should have filmed this really, because I could have shown you how I did it. It's a blue XPS in the centre, and then with air dry clay wrapped around the outside. It's going to work well for a dead tree. I think it's a bit messy. It's a very messy process, but it saves a lot of money in terms of the wire, as I've said, and also ends up with a pretty solid-looking heavy tree. So that can be glued in place onto the base there, and then I'll paint it and finish it off. But I will bring you along. I'm going to do another one like this. I've got another idea with how to do it with XPS, or actually expanded polystyrene, and then another couple of little ideas with other bits of waste material I've got lying around, obviously to save a little bit of money. All of them using air dry clay as their base. The one issue is I would need to add wires to pull off any finer pieces if I was going to do a living tree, so I'm going to have to think about that for the next ones. It takes a bit of time. It's not very quick because the air dry clay doesn't dry that fast, but it's dried nicely now, and I think that's going to look really well when it's painted and dry brushed. So yeah, pretty happy with it. But yeah, there's a lot more learning to be done of how this technique might play out, and I'll bring you along for the next time I try it. So there it is. Got a fair bit done, as you can see. I've had a lot of fun, and working, obviously hobbying with Rosie, working on that garage is one way to put a big smile on my face, and she's loving it. We're very close to finish now. Just need to work out how I'm going to do that sign, Rosie's Garage maybe, or something else. If you've got any ideas for that, pop them in the comments below. That would be really cool. If you've made it this far, really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for watching. It's amazing that so many people do watch these videos, many more than I would expect to. So thank you to each and every one of you. I will wrap up this video as I'm now in the habit of saying, and it's now been a year, and who can believe that? But if any of you are impacted directly or indirectly by the horrific war in Ukraine, then my thoughts do go out to you and anyone you know who may be in that situation. And to everyone, please do stay healthy, stay safe, and stay well.